Dear Ava, it's not your fault this caught me like it did. Goodlord. The name disturbs me most, as though we're meant to pledge ourselves to call our faceless landlord good, or God. And I should. Should I? Feel graced or blessed to live under this roof? So begins Ella Freers's Goodlord, a book-length poem that's feverishly funny, brilliantly unnerving, and amazingly written. After receiving an email from her letting agent Ava asking her to sign up to real-life property technology company Goodlord, Freers's narrator fires one back for the length of the book, and in one chaotic spool leads the faceless woman she sees as her mirror image through the dark and murky waters of memory, violence, sexuality, and passivity. Goodlord's unnamed narrator spends the course of the book veering between situations that evoke these themes in varying degrees, subjected to the wills and natures of those with control over her. These forces are so close as to be claustrophobic, and in the effortlessly engaging and dramatic poetry that darts between memories so quickly so as to be almost overwhelming, Frears subtly suggests that while the source of power and control can seemingly change, it's a revolving door, not a revamp. In Goodlord, power merely transfers between oppressive bodies, always close at hand. Walking down corridors so narrow that her shoulders touch both walls, Goodlord's narrator is a woman confined. Between a landlord who sits in her kitchen as he pleases, who can't be told no for fear of eviction, the sexually and emotionally abusive colleagues that stare at the narrator with eyes like two flick knives opening at jobs that have to be kept to pay that landlord, and the violent and coercive men who have to be tolerated simply because they're there, Frears identifies the lawless presence of the men in the book with pinpoint accuracy. Bossless, boundaryless, these men had lost the plot. Frears' narrator is in a constant position of forced proximity, and her boundaries are tested, slipped past, and violated again and again. Frears' precarious and inventive line breaks, often ending on unstable articles and prepositions, mirror the narrator's own instability. As readers, we don't even have a permanent left margin to hold on to. The rare moments of faint hope and the many of riotous humour are moments always surrounded, undercut, or broken by violence. One of the core heartbreaks of Goodlord is that the narrative voice is so strong and charismatic, leaning on itself for support, but as its past and present are so governed by violence and claustrophobia, that same voice is unable to find peace, partially because it's lonely, partially because it knows nothing else, and partially because it's actively refused conditions of peace. At times, the narrator even seeks out that danger. As Frears describes, part of the engine within the narrator is that she's incredibly curious about what will happen next with somebody, whoever that is. I felt she wanted to harm me further, but in a sexy way. And that, Ava, was interesting to me. As much as she's focused on the next somebody, though, she's also hyperfixated on the idea of the body itself. The body in Goodlord acts as a site of abuse, revelation, sexuality, and experience of all kinds, for better or for worse. Amongst the narrative trampolining that is equal parts skittish and compelling, there also exists an array of symbols and intrusive memories that assault both narrator and reader constantly, slipping through the stanzas like a knife through ribs. Most interestingly, a spectral horse and a doctor dreamt as a child that reappears almost as a myth. "What can you see?" the doctor asks. "A train," she replies. "What you need to do, darling, is board that train." It's this last line that repeats most often, a seeming attempt by the narrator to spur herself into action from that place of passivity that she's so constantly in. These intrusive memories elucidate a central idea of the book. For the narrator, in that vulnerable place where the mind is all she has, it's the mind and the places it goes that define her self-image. In these positions of precariousness and passivity, insecurity and vulnerability, we become a sum of our instincts and defense mechanisms, and this creates an inescapable cycle of claustrophobia. As a result, just as a surveyor talks to Goodlord's narrator about concrete during a particularly bleak sexual interaction, so might we apply the same language to our narrator's sense of identity. It never fully cures. It just keeps hardening. Forever. Keeps getting stronger. Forever. Harder. Forever. Stronger. and harder, harder and harder.